Hi, everybody. It is September 22nd, 2024. Yeah, here we are again. My God, it's like we're running a marathon, and the marathon has no end to it. That's the unfortunate part of all of this. So, thank you for showing up. Much appreciated. Let's see, Alicia, hi. Geofactor 3, hello. Sandra, hello. Analog Synth Player and Tony Punch. Hi, guys. Andrew Cruz, Shauna Howard, Angelos. I think I said hello, Angelos. Rage Against the Machine, Jane Northrup, Amber Eyes, L24. Thank you. James B. Patricia White. Hi. Yeah, I do want to start with thanking those who left donations at PayPal. I don't take pretty much anything for granted anymore, but I really do want to thank you. And, I used to say it is much appreciated because it's well needed, but it's true. So, yeah, every dollar helps. And thank you, Elle, for leaving the links. But I want to thank Sandra G very much, and LK very much, and Bethany V very much, Nick C, Pamela D, William S, Roberta K. I think I forgot, so I'm saying Roberta K. And Pierre B. Thank you very much. I'm quite grateful and still just, I'm amazed that people still donate. So I do really appreciate it. It's been a long road, to say the least. So I'm going to start with radar, but then I'm going to start with Israel and Hezbollah and Lebanon, and then just show a few areas, countries that have been targeted by weather warfare once again. Thanks, Al. I pulled muscles in my back, and it's weird because it's in an area that I never have, and now it's kind of like traveling around, which is very strange. So if you suddenly see me wince or whatever, it's just because I've moved the wrong way. But yeah, stress, electromagnetic frequencies, poisons. It's not sure what is going on, but could be that I'm just uncomfortable in life, as more people are becoming. So here's radar for you. Good old radar. Good old line of nanobots. Right over here. These don't look good in Texas. Doesn't look good in Oklahoma. Severe thunderstorms. Look at these frequencies surrounding this weather front, hitting it on the periphery. And the hit comes and the severity of the storm weakens right after the hit. If you can just look closely, you'll see these frequencies on the periphery, and then it weakens. Here we have another long line stretching from Ohio right on into mid-Missouri. Central Missouri. And look at this. These are going down south. This is moving northeasterly direction. No, this is not what Mother Nature ever did. It's not what the jet stream ever did. But all of those natural processes have been usurped by man. And they are bringing about an awful lot of destruction. Yes, I know. I say it all the time. Well, I look around and I see destruction every single day due to weather warfare. Here we go. Electromagnetic frequencies, the extremely low frequencies blasting away Southern California. Land shifting, homes toppling, roads cracking. These little lines here, defined lines, can bring it all about. Everything that I just said. All right, so a quick look at, okay. Severe weather warnings for Missouri. Yeah. They're blowing this up big time, moving very quickly. Yes, I have a weather modification playlist on my Never Lose Truth without any numbers, just Never Lose Truth. It's a weather modification playlist on that channel. And the air masses can be moved about any which way or the same way, and different speeds. And that is what is bringing about all of this weather madness that we are seeing. Yeah. So, all right, there's no tornado warnings, but the severe weather for Texas is Palo Pinto, Stevens, and Young counties. Missouri is Texas County. So be very careful. Yeah, I know. Same old, same old. I hate the same old, same old. It really wears you out. Same old, same old. So that was I put the link in to the severe weather alert page and the link to the radar page that you might want to pay attention to. Okay, so Israel on brink of full-scale invasion of South Lebanon as it warns back down or else. Okay. Things are not very good. And I have said from the start of my posting since October 7 that what Israel is doing, the Zionist government that they have, it's going to be bad for Israelis. Okay. I got an email from a subscriber in Israel. Situation in Israel is very bad, but I just wanted to let you know that we are okay. Okay. In our area, school is canceled. People can work if they have a bomb shelter at work, and then hope you are well. More another time. So many people are facing the gun pointed in their direction. And while we go about our lives in a very surreal fashion, like we're not at war, we just have a different war going on, but that's the real kind of war. And if you think that this is never going to arrive at our shores, think again, because ooh, a whole lot, I'm sure, want to give us, you know, our karmic due. So, but can you imagine living this way? I mean, it's horrendous. It is absolutely horrendous. And while there are a lot of Israelis who are, unfortunately, they do want the hostages back, they want a ceasefire, but they don't seem to have any care for what has been happening to the Palestinians. It's not every Israeli, for sure, not every Jew all over the world, because we've seen so many Jews who are active in trying to get a ceasefire, but we'll see. So, yes, please stay safe. Please stay safe. And I know others in Israel. It's since COVID, I have noticed that the Israeli government is going after the Israeli public hard, very hard. So when you're evil, you don't protect your own. Evil does not have any boundaries. Evil is not selective. Evil is evil. And if they have an agenda, they're going to go for it. And they don't care who they kill, who they destroy in the process. We sure know that. Our government, no different than the Zionist government in Israel. So, and to the woman who wrote this, I do want to say that, yeah, I do think of you often. What's going on? So, more bombing, more fighting, more death, and the war just expands. Israel on brink of full-scale invasion of South Lebanon, as it warns, back down or else. All right. Also, IDF intercepts cruise missiles and drones fired from Iraq at north and south. Coalition of pro-Iranian armed groups claims responsibility, says acting in support of Gaza. From Iraq. Okay. That doesn't portend the war containing itself. It seems that all of this is just expanding. And when you see the Iran-backed groups, just know that there's the US-backed groups, and a whole lot of countries see us as the number one terrorist in the world. And here Hezbollah responds to Israeli strikes with rocket strikes deep into Israel. You know, baby boomers have had war their entire lives. I certainly have. But when you think about the bombing, the killing, the death, where are the people calling for peace Doesn't it make you feel like humanity just can never heal, and there will always be the psychopaths who rule the day? That's what pisses me off.
A barrage of Hezbollah rockets and drones pierced the stillness of northern Israel this morning. Israel says most were intercepted by the Iron Dome defenses, but some found their target, like this strike near Haifa, which left 3 wounded and 1 dead when a teenager lost control of his vehicle. All of it in response to this. An Israeli attack on Friday in southern Beirut that killed top Hezbollah commander Ibrahim Akil, who will be buried later today following the funerals of other commanders who died in the strike. The Akil strike came after 2 days of devastating attacks on thousands of Hezbollah militants. The Israeli military says the war's center of gravity is now moving north towards Hezbollah and away from Hamas. But Israel hasn't forgotten about Gaza. Today, a school where hundreds were sheltering was struck west of Gaza City. This just a day after the Hamas-run health ministry said a strike on another shelter-turned-school left more than 20 people dead, half of them children, one of them a pregnant woman. Israel said the school had been turned into a Hamas command center. In a separate instance, our CBS News team in Gaza filmed babies and children injured in a strike on their family home this morning.
In our Al Jazeera office in occupied West Bank has just been raided.
And in the West Bank, during a live broadcast, Israeli forces shut down the Ramallah bureau of broadcaster Al Jazeera as a journalist read the warrant. The Qatar-based network is accused of inciting and supporting terrorism. Well, so far, Israel has not claimed responsibility for those exploding beepers and walkie-talkies, Margaret, but today, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did say that Israel dealt Hezbollah, quote, a sequence of blows it could not imagine.
Whatever Israel says, just like the United States and a whole lot of countries, you can't believe any of it. That's why I love hearing from my Israeli subscriber, who's also, American. She, I believe, grew up. I don't want to say anything because I'm not entirely sure, but I think grew up in the United States. So when I hear from people there, that's what I believe. But I don't believe, before anyone else, I don't believe Israel and the United States, no matter what. The axis of evil, the United States, Israel, UK. So be prepared, because we may very well see war. Maybe some of us will be gone, because I think some of us are going to be gone soon. But and I think about this often too. All of the people who have to suffer these wars, and we don't. Can you imagine living in Israel right now? Could you imagine living in Lebanon? And all of the other places? Try to think about what that might be like. Bombs dropping, people dying, infrastructure and buildings destroyed, your loved ones dead or injured. Think about what that might feel like. While we go about our business, and all of these, throughout the years, I've thought, that so many all over the world have had to suffer the psychopathy and evil of the United States while we just go about our lives. That's pretty horrendous. But I do think that we're going to face war here. And who's to know who will be dropping the bombs? Oh God, I just wish that that this was comprehensible. Like you could rationally address what's happening in the world, but you really can't. You really can't. There is everything that's happening is just, it certainly is showing the face of an awful lot of people who just can't put down the guns, put down the bombs, and just face one another and talk peace. We're not going to have that. I don't know about you guys. I can't stand it. Here, Israel. So Hezbollah apparently hit Raphael factory, which is a arms manufacturing hub in Haifa. I think a lot of people who have suffered these fires, when they see something like this, I would think that their experience is similar, except there's no the enemy is invisible, we'll say. But I often think, okay, when I'm watching something like this, I imagine myself there. And what would you do? What must it feel like to live in this kind of violent chaos? But people escaping the fires? Well, an awful lot of those who have escaped know that it's an enemy that they're escaping. So more and more of us are going to be experiencing violent chaos. Ritzy Bay Area neighborhood is in uproar as residents claim they're being hit with bombs. It's like being in war. California, Bay Area, San Francisco area. 1 second, sweet pea. 1 second. So apparently it's from firework bombs that they feel like they're in war. A 78-year-old resident said she was so fed up after 2 months of destruction and sleepless nights that she has started a petition against the nightly explosions near her usually peaceful street in San Francisco. They're big fireworks, the kind that cities put on. They aren't just little. They go way up in the air and they land all over the place, like over my building. So, well, it's like being in war. It's a big fire hazard. Use it as experience. As an experience, just, Because, yeah, every day I see more and more having to suffer the consequence of the crime, of the economy, of the housing crisis. We have so many crises going on that it's hard to keep track of all of them. But there doesn't seem to be very many people who are experiencing peace, you know, kind of long-term peace, where they're living consistent peace. No, I feel like that's been shot. So flooding in Gaza, Palestinians struggle to cope in makeshift shelters.
Palestinians in Gaza are struggling to cope after heavy rain caused flooding. The UN says Israel's war has forced up to 1.9 million people from their homes. They are living in makeshift shelters with little or no basic supplies. Tara Kabu-Azum reports from Dar al-Bala in central Gaza.
I'm right now in one of the biggest encampments here in the central areas of Gaza, where Palestinians right now are trapped by the rainwater. Let me show you the scene at the moment. You can see how is the rainwater stands between these flimsy tents. We can see that the winds completely tore these flimsy tents. Families are trying to repair what has been damaged, and now they are unable even to move freely, struggling certainly in order to find blankets, mattresses, pillows, and in some certain cases they were forced to sleep on the ground. Now, those Palestinians are suffering because basically the military has destroyed Gaza's basic sewage network system, and at the same time there is no clear drainage water system here in the strip, and that's why here winter is compounding the misery of Palestinian people. Now we can see water has been flooding these tents going through as families are unable to move it out of these flimsy tents. We can see children right now are trying to just move out of these areas, but the situation is incredibly very grim because those people have been told by municipalities and UNRWA to move to other locations, but they do not know where to go, simply because families have been losing their houses and now they are ended up living in that very drastic conditions, and what winter is yet to come. Tariq Abazoum, Al Jazeera, Dar al-Bala.
Oh, and then imagine this is your life, right? Oh, it's just so, what a world. Major Hurricane Helene. Okay. And I was surprised that so many people were talking about this, if it developed into a hurricane, that it was going to Louisiana. And I last week said, on the model that I was using, it showed it going into Florida. But wow, it's really moving. And of course, these hurricanes, when they make landfall, they don't dissipate. They just travel on. So Alabama, Georgia, you get ready. Not only Florida, but let's listen to Into Thin Air. The link I will post.
All right, everyone, welcome back. As we said over a week ago, we are now just 3 days away from a possible landfall of a major hurricane in the Gulf. We are now seeing most models trending towards the panhandle of Florida, possibly clipping Alabama. That also might change, but the main part of this information is that we are going to see a very large hurricane in the bath waters of the Gulf of Mexico. And it will likely be called Hurricane Helena, because we do have another storm forming in the Atlantic. So whichever one of these these becomes a tropical storm first will take the letter H. The next one will take the letter I for Isaac. All right, and we can see that all here on the 7-day outlook chart. This is where Hurricane Helene will probably form right here, 70% chance of cyclone formation over the next week. We don't even have a week with this storm. We have about 3.5 to 4 days tops. This over here would be the only other situation that may form into a tropical storm first. Whichever one reaches that threshold gets the first name. Over the next 24 hours, we're going to see a lot of rotation beginning down in the Southern Caribbean. You can almost sort of see it now as the sun is passing over and we enter into today. This storm right here is going to remind you just how fast these hurricanes can form. And if this stays as is and shoots this gap between Cancun and Cuba, we're going to have nothing but rapid intensification until this thing makes landfall somewhere between Louisiana and the Florida Panhandle. Earlier last week, when we first put out this warning, landfall was being projected a lot closer to Texas and possibly western Louisiana. But as we said in that video, we expected an eastern shift. And now that we have this information, it's super important. If you live in the Panhandle, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, now is the time to prepare. And chances are you will have a state of emergency within the next 24 to 48 hours. And finally,
oh, yes. States of emergency declared before the storm hits. And that's not the way it used to be. Gulf tropical storm is likely and could be a hurricane threat to Florida southeast late this week. Yeah. Well, this was the model that I used a couple of days ago, and it showed that it was going into Florida. So the other models that people were using, I was like, why? I was feeling like this model must be wrong, because everybody else was showing models where it was going far more west than it showed. But we'll bring it here. This starts on the 23rd, midnight. Oh, just midnight into Monday. All right, so you have a couple of days, pretty clear, but here it comes. And if they want to intensify it, they will. Whether it goes through, what Into Thin Air was talking about, Cuba and can't remember the other, but they can intensify it with all of the electromagnetic frequencies. So here it's getting pretty strong, pretty intense. It's in the Gulf. It's just west of Florida, but it spawns an awful lot of storms. And I guess they're going to call them the bands of the hurricane. But now we're at September 26th at noon. So already the rain looks, well, a lot of rain coming into the Panhandle and North Florida. It's hard for me to read this map because I can't really distinguish the lines, but all right, so here it is, right off the coast of Florida, September 26th at 6 p.m. And into the Panhandle it goes hard, right into the Panhandle of Florida and into Alabama and Georgia. September 27 at midnight. Don't like those late night storms. So by Friday, midnight, even before, 6 p.m. Thursday, and 12 noon Thursday, right along the coast, it looks like the Naples area of Florida. That looks like a pounding of a lot of rain as well. So I also want to show you that this thing doesn't stop. All right, so here we are, midnight, Friday, September 27. Alabama, the southeast portion area of Alabama is getting hit hard. But Georgia, look at Georgia. That looks like it's more than half of Georgia is still going to be experiencing a hurricane. 6 a.m. Friday. And still very heavy rain. Now we're up into North Georgia and South Carolina. Upstate South Carolina looks like very heavy rain, thunderstorms, severe thunderstorms. And that looks like the northeast, the whole northeast of Georgia. So, yep, prepare. And then it goes into Tennessee with severe thunderstorms. And then it breaks up. At least it's not going to Canada this time. So do prepare, Floridians, Alabamans, Georgia, South Carolina. Hungry. So many European nations got it bad. They're still dealing with an awful lot of flood and an awful lot of water. Houses just sitting in water in numerous countries, and now it's Hungary.
With a paddle in hand, Antal Alega set off in his boat down the flooded streets of Baja, Hungary on Sunday. He says this kind of flooding is unprecedented for his village, located about 100 miles south of Budapest.
It has never happened before that there are 3 floods in 1 year. Experts say this is the consequence of global warming and the extreme weather.
Over the past week, floods have wreaked havoc across Central Europe, leaving a trail of destruction from Romania to Poland. In Budapest, drone footage of the Danube River showed several submerged jetties. The river is forecasted to reach higher than 27 feet, near record levels, but still below those seen in 2013. The swollen river has caused widespread damage, including further north in Nagy Moros. Here, farmer Laszlo Batki wades through what's left of his plot. He says most of it is underwater, ruining the crops of organic tomatoes, peppers, radishes, and lettuce he was preparing to harvest. Despite the damage, he told Reuters he thinks he can take steps, such as switching to more traditional crops, to adapt to more frequent floods in the years to come.
I always have to say this. I just wish people would begin to have an open mind about weather modification, geoengineering, that maybe that they are being lied to about the climate change. Building collapse in Italy, in Naples. 2 siblings killed, mother and another woman trapped. Buildings collapsing, buildings, just collapsing off of lands that are shifting. All of this stuff is happening all over the world now. We have to think about how the damage that these weather psychopaths who have been using all of the electromagnetic frequencies, the HARP and HARP-like facilities all over the world, the damage that they have done to the earth, to below us, the magnetic poles, everything. My God, to the ozone, to the ionosphere, to all of the layers that protect us from the UVs, from the radiation. No, it's not because you drive a SUV or cows fart. No, sorry. Please stop listening to the crazy, absurd reasons that you're getting from mainstream media. Doesn't it frustrate you? So, yeah, a gas explosion. Well, we sure do have a fair amount of homes that are just exploding all over the place. Fires that literally engulf the entire home and destroy it. And that seems to be happening, and so much that it's like, are you kidding me? All right. Homeowners forced to move after builders fill in retention pond. It doesn't seem like anybody even knows what they're doing anymore.
Don't often make the nightly news here, but we found one in Johnstown that caught our attention. Everything in the house must go, from the gutters to the windows to the toilets. Here's Mark Salinger.
People walking down or coming down this neighborhood have got to look at this and just say, what in the world?
The trailers parked on these front lawns in Johnstown don't look like your typical moving vans. Then again,
Yeah,
this isn't your typical move.
going through this part of it tears heartstrings every day.
Holly Sturgeon knows she has about a month left in what was supposed to be her forever home. After living here 10 years, the basement flooded, and her family learned something they had never thought about before.
This was originally a retention pond, and in a flood last year, it came to light that it needs to be a retention pond.
The builder filled in the pond and built homes on it without telling the buyers. After the flood, the town of Johnstown decided they had no other choice but to buy 4 homes back, bulldoze the land, and rebuild the detention pond.
Up until about a month ago, I probably cried, and you can hear me choking up about it now, but I probably cried almost every single day about the thought of tearing this apart.
Holly has come to terms with the reality now, so she's parting way with everything before the dozers move in.
All the lighting fixtures had pendant lighting here. I've sold toilets. I have sold garage doors.
Literally everything.
Siding, gutters, everything's for sale.
The living room furniture already sold, so the patio chairs moved inside. Today, they're tearing down the deck.
Make me a moderately small, reasonable offer, and it is absolutely yours to take and go home with.
Everything must go, but it's hard to part with all the memories here.
I'm going to miss it. I mean, I look out here, I look at our neighbors. That's the hard part.
Moving.
There are so many people all over the country who are being displaced. Displacement. That seems to be the latest and greatest. Because of, well, in this case, they were not informed that the house was built on a retention pond. Is anybody being held accountable for all of the stuff that they do that ends up destroying other people's lives? deadly mass shooting in Birmingham, Alabama. Okay, so we've got a lot. We have an awful lot of shootings. And my perspective now is that we are at war. Oh, we are at war. Okay, so if you don't have the lovely opportunity that I do to go and see an awful lot of what's going on, you may not know. And that's not a judgment. That's just you have lives. You do things. You don't have the time that I do, which I wish I didn't. We're at war. There are so many shootings, so many kids shooting parents, grandparents, carjackings with just these teenagers. Do you know an 8-year-old drove herself to Target? An 8-year-old drove to Target, and it was like a 20-minute drive? Okay. A lot is going on. So now it just seems that there's so much violent chaos, and it is expanding. The scale of it is pretty intense already. Okay? So I don't do this to fearmonger. I do this so that you know this is no joke what we are living in this country anymore. And a lot of people are paying the price. Like dead.
Multiple gunmen believed to be on the run after a mass shooting on the south side. Here's how it looked moments after those shots were fired in 5 Points South around 11 o'clock last night. You can see dozens of police and emergency crews responding to the scene. Here's what we know so far. 4 people are dead, 4 people with life-threatening injuries, and dozens of people have been shot, and that's all according to Birmingham police. Investigators tell us multiple shooters fired on people in the open on Magnolia Avenue. The FBI and the ATF also joining the investigation. No arrests have been made. Now, the deadly mass shooting taking place in the heart of 5 Points South, we're told it happened on Magnolia Avenue near 20th Street. And we have live local late breaking team coverage for you this morning. WVTM 13's Zoe Blair, she's been on the...
If you want to hear more about this shooting, you know, but the sad part about all of this is I think many have become so desensitized to it. And I'm sure an awful lot of people still think that it's didn't happen. They're just putting on a show. No, it's happening now. I mean, I there were a lot of these broadcasts where I was kind of iffy, you know, but if there were people who were actually victims of the shooting, you know, out of just a respect for them, I kind of went with, all right, until I get conclusive evidence that it's bullshit, I'm not going to ring the bell. Bullshit. Now, oh, I don't think this is bullshit. We are, whether it's electromagnetic frequencies that are creating an awful lot of this violent chaos, yes, they can target individuals and let it rip. Or it's stress, the chronic stress, and people are not capable of handling it and they get violent. Who knows? But it's happening. New York City thieves raid 300 stores without getting caught or getting caught and released. I'm going to post the link to this, but the thievery that is taking place all over, not just New York City, is a result of these people who shoplift or commit these crimes never suffer consequences. And I think it was in this is Cash Jordan. I think it was in this where even Mayor Adams of New York City is talking about, well, the crime has, and all of these people going into stores and shoplifting, and he even speaks about how the criminal law is just absurd and failing. That these are my words. It was his administration and his appointment of the district attorney that literally reformed criminal law. The bail reform. But Americans get this. It's not up to the DA. The DA enforces the law. The DA does not write and reform law. But that has been going on. It certainly was going on in California, going on in New York, going on in other states. That's not their power. They don't have the authority to do that. But Americans just don't know how their governments are supposed to be operating. It's the state legislature that reforms criminal law. Okay. Yeah, people have, throughout my time on YouTube, have claimed, that I get too excited, that I get too angry, that I get too, whatever. Yeah, I get incensed. Everything that's happening should just not be happening. But it's happening because Americans allow it to happen.
Of retail thefts a year, 30% are committed by just 327 criminals. The NYPD says it's that group of criminals arrested and rearrested 6,000 times.
That's a lot of arrests, but it gets even worse because a trio of thieves have raided over 300 stores in this city. Yet they and thousands of other shoplifters are still walking the streets as free men, revealing that our criminal justice system is backwards and almost seems to be designed to protect our criminals instead of locking them up.
It's more than just shoplifting. It's organized retail theft.
Just 10 people account for nearly 500 arrests in New York City since 2020. Now Mayor Eric Adams is sounding the alarm. He says the state's bail reform law is to blame, creating a revolving door for criminals.
I just see stuff getting loaded into a shopping cart. People go about their day oblivious to these kinds of activities are going on.
One person has more than 100 lifetime arrests, 88 of them occurring since 2020. Another person arrested 23 times for burglary in the last 2 years is out on parole.
The police are pointing at the bail reform law for the uptick, but defenders of the state's reform law say it's more complicated than that.
What we're seeing is them attempting to pull choice pieces of data for the political purposes of undermining bail reform laws.
Our criminal justice system is insane. Judges cannot set bail for crimes like robbery, burglary, and assault. People charged with those crimes are released until they're called for trial.
Oh, it's insane. It's insane. Mayor Adams. Oh my God. It is just, all right, well, it's only going to get worse now. JLR investigates. He's posted several videos today. You should check them out. Link is in the chat. And here he posts, it's very weird that every live I get like a real bad tickle in my throat. And it was just about to start. I think I nipped it in the bud. Okay. So, one was of, all right, we're going to get to that. A major accident Oh, shit. Hang on. There's a major accident in Springfield, Ohio, and it was a Haitian. No plates on the car. The cop let that Haitian just drive on off. Not good. All right, so let's just watch a little bit of this. JLR is just standing there for the entire time. While I don't know what this guy is doing with his phone, probably needing to show the officer. What are they getting? Licenses? Permits? Driving around and like it looks like a new car. Wow. And then, yeah, the cop just lets him go. And he just drives off. No plates on the car. What do you think would happen to you or me?
I would think usually in situations like this, they would tow the vehicle. I mean, you're going to let somebody go off without any plate tags that just got in an accident. Somebody got sent to the hospital. Officer just gave him a thumbs up. Now, this individual has a baby in the back seat. I hear a baby crying. She did tell me when the officer was in the car, I did go by her and ask her, did you get in an accident? She goes, yes. But we're not saying anything to the officer. All right, he's putting his seatbelt on. And without a license plate, he's free to go. He's free to go in Springfield, folks. Look at this.
I don't know. Well, it might be the accident, but it looks like, it actually looks like they don't have license plates on the front, looking at that other car. No license plates on the front in this car driving. So they have them on the back, but this guy doesn't. He doesn't. Cop, hey, go on. You're free to go. Okay.
Just waiting on traffic. He has no license plate, no temp tag. Who knows if he has insurance and who knows if he has a driver's license. And he just got in an accident and the passenger went to the hospital. There you go, folks. What do you think? What do you think?
Well, I think that an awful lot of those residents in Springfield, Ohio, were telling the truth. And here, JLR again, and I'll post the link again. This woman, apparently this video went viral. I miss a lot of the virals, but she worked at Rural King. They sell guns, and listen to what she had to say.
it out.
I'm Libby.
Libby, you agree to be videotaped?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And what were you? What is it that you do?
So I no longer do it. I ended up leaving the job, but I used to work for a gun store in Springfield, Ohio.
And how recently was that?
This was last year. It's been within the last year.
Okay, and you left them about 2023 or sometime in 24?
It's been about 10 months since I left, so yes, 2023.
Okay, and what were you telling us about gun sales to folks who were undocumented?
So when I worked there, we would have about 10 to 15 Haitian men come in every day. Normally, it was just one in the group that would try and purchase a firearm. Most of them did not have U.S. IDs. They had Mexican IDs, and other countries I'm not really sure, but the most popular was Mexican. And they would come in trying to purchase firearms, and I was told that I had to process the sales just like everybody else, like I would any other customer, and I would, and they were going through just fine, even though they weren't U.S. citizens, so I would have to put them on the do not sell list so they were not getting firearms.
Okay, and so that's not supposed to happen.
No,
right?
No, because I was having U.S. citizens getting put on the do not sell list because they lived in a house that somebody who had lived there before had been on the do not sell list, so they were not allowed to purchase firearms.
Okay, but these were all going through.
Yes.
And you put them on a do not sell list, and then what happened?
I was told I was not allowed to do that because it was something with the Second Amendment.
Okay, and how many firearms do you think you sold during the time you were there in that situation?
Probably 40.
Okay, and usually groups of people, but one of them would try to get a gun?
Yes.
Okay, and anything else you want to share, or things that you noticed when you were there that?
Just that there would be large groups. I had one incident. This gentleman came in, and he did have a state ID. That was the only one that had an Ohio-issued state ID. It did not have his current address on it, and this was my first issue that I've ever had with them. It was the first customer that I had that was Haitian. And I asked him, is this your current address on the license? Because that's something we have to ask everybody. And he said, no, that's not my current address. I said, okay, then I cannot sell you this firearm right now. You're going to have to go to the DMV, get a change of address form, and then we can proceed. And then he looked at me and said, I'm just kidding. That's my address. And I told him, well, you already told me you don't live there, so I can't proceed with this transaction. And I got cussed out. He tried to physically take the gun out of my hands. And then my boss told me just to process it. It wasn't a big deal, even though if it was anybody else, I couldn't have done that. So.
Do you think that the gun stores are getting pressure, or how is it that they're approving all this stuff?
I genuinely, I have no idea. I do know that the store that I worked for, we were told we had to process it. I would call all the other gun stores in the area and tell them what was going on, not to accept it. And so I ended up having to call about 3 to 4 gun stores every time we'd have that issue.
Almost every day?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to say?
I probably shouldn't.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. We appreciate your honesty and willingness. And we'll get this out and let the word get out to folks. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Libby was saying that the Haitian migrants would use Mexican IDs and they would pass the system, but she would flag them and not sell them the gun, put them on the do not buy list. Now I'm hearing from other gun stores that I visited, and they kind of echo what Libby said. I'm shocked that they would even pass a background check with a Mexican ID, but it's true that a lot of the Haitians that are here have Mexican IDs. It seems like from Haiti, they actually go to Mexico, and then from Mexico, they come here to Springfield, and they keep a Mexican ID. So they might be running around with Mexican IDs, but it's very concerning. Nevertheless, if it's true, if they pass the background check or not with a Mexican ID, because another gun store told me, got to have an American ID. Got to have an American ID, and they'll go through a extensive background check. Though the other,
yeah, you got to have an American ID. Whoa, what's going on here? You think maybe this is purposeful to put guns in the hands of an awful lot of illegal migrants? You think? Well, I do. I know you do. But Americans, man, wow, a whole lot of them. You ain't thinking correctly. So this is an everyday occurrence at Ivy Crossing Apartments. Venezuelans. Goes on until about 5 a.m. Denver. Wow. Then they leave the parking lot trashed. Okay. It's not just our country, right? Paris is hell. Read the subtitles.
Vraiment, venez jamais à Paris tout seul. Je suis à la gare toute seule à la gare du Nord et genre
Don't come to Paris alone.
vraiment c'est horrible, je me fais accoster toutes les 5 minutes.
Get accosted every 5 minutes.
Il y a même une meuf qui vient de me voir, elle me dit décale ton sac s'il te plaît. Et je dis mais pourquoi je suis sur...
Some woman told her to shift her bag that she had around to her front.
C'est décalé mon sac et elle me dit mais il y a de la pisse. Et il y a un SDF qui a pissé sur mon sac. Alors
Homeless man pissed on her bag.
je sais pas, je suis toute seule et tout genre. On m'a insulté de clocharde aussi. On me demande de l'argent toutes les 2 minutes. Vraiment, je suis au bout de ma vie. Ça me saoule. J'ai envie de rentrer chez moi.
I'm at the end of my rope. I just want to go home.
J'espère que l'événement de fleurs il va valoir le coup. Parce que là, c'est vraiment horrible pour l'instant. J'ai pas du tout envie d'être ici. Il y a au moins quelqu'un de gentil qui m'a proposé des mouchoirs. Mais bon, j'aimerais bien ne pas avoir besoin de mouchoirs. En tout cas, ce qui est sûr, c'est que je viendrai plus jamais toute seule à Paris. Les gens, ils sont malades ici, c'est un truc de ouf. En plus,
People here are sick and crazy. I will never come to Paris alone again.
t'as tous les mecs qui te regardent là avec leur sourire pervers de merde. Ça me casse les couilles, j'ai l'impression d'être un morceau de viande ici. Je veux trop rentrer chez moi.
I feel like a piece of meat here. Boy, our Western countries have really changed. France. Well, you know the French. They sure do know how to protest. Now, in Martinique, this is going on.
Il est bien question de rendre hommage aux 200 camarades blessés. Il est avec nous. Ces gens-là ont oublié que nous étions le peuple. Ces gens-là ont oublié que leur mission. Nous sommes l'eau qui ruisselle. Nous sommes la nature qui se défend.
Soutenir les blessés de Sainte-Soline.
Car elle est cachée un petit peu. Il faut que ce décalage horaire, mais un flot que
If you're not reading this, it's about soaring food prices. So, right at the very beginning, doesn't it look like a movie? Right? This can't be real. Look at this. Hunger Games. The New World Order thugs keeping the proles in place. Seems things are getting out of hand. Woman loses control of SUV and drives into a liquor store. I don't know about you, but I see this every single day. People don't know how to drive anymore. You have to wonder. Electromagnetic frequencies and/or that new product came out in 2020.
Now to a car slamming into the front of a liquor store overnight, causing major damage there.
Police are right now investigating what led up to the crash. KTLA's Aaron Myers live this morning in East Hollywood with what we know so far. Aaron, good morning. Wow, it is a mess behind you. So much damage.
Hi, you two. Good morning. Yeah, a lot of damage to this market and liquor store. The owners are actually out here right now. They're assessing everything, trying to clean up a little bit. You can see here behind me, though, this car made its way actually inside to the building, hitting quite a few things. And I'm told the owners, they probably will obviously be closed up today, but they are hoping to get back up and running as soon as possible. But let's get into some video from earlier this morning when this all happened. You can see the damage done after the vehicle slammed into this building, left that huge mess, like Lauren was saying. This is on the 4800 block of Santa Monica Boulevard. Now, the LAPD tells me this happened around 2:40 this morning. They say a woman was driving. She lost control on Santa Monica Boulevard, and then when she lost control, she slammed into this liquor store, the vehicle ending up destroying the front wall and windows, damaging an ATM and a lotto machine. Now, it was originally investigated as a DUI, but we are told the woman passed the test, so this time it's still not known why she lost control of the vehicle. The LAPD, they say they notified.
Don't know why. I just lost control and slammed into a store. At least 4 killed. Oh, this is the Birmingham mass shooting. All right, I'm going to recommend that you watch this video here. I'm just going to play the first couple of minutes. But yeah, he makes the very obvious point that seems to be lost on an awful lot of people. Ivor Cummins, and the link is in the chat. And unfortunately, well, this was 20 hours ago. He might get a copyright strike. I don't know. But no doubt I would. So I'm going to stop it right when if you haven't seen No Country, what is it? No Country of Old Men. He shows a clip of that I'm going to bypass.
That's the face of a psychopath. 400 professional psychotherapists, etc., agreed that that was the best representation of a psychopath in any movie in history. And he is so good. But anyway, so here we go. Here's the clip.
Ready. So the clip is with Jimmy Lee Jones. Is that his name? Boy, I'm forgetting a lot. He's trying to catch the psychopath. And he essentially just doesn't feel like he can do it, so he wants to quit. Okay. So you can watch it on your own, and it's a short clip.
And the reality is to think that you have to be the solution to it, or you just, oh my God. And that's vanity. So the lesson that's learned is the world is not actually really that worse. This has been happening for all of human history. And it's an important message that we all think this is shocking, this is terrible, oh my God, these evil people, oh my God. And we're feeling the oppression that Tommy Lee Jones feels. He's overmatched. He just can't do this. So he actually is going to quit. But your man points out wisdom that, you know, this country's hardened people. The world is hardened people. It always has been. We've had it too easy since World War II. We got soft. That's true. But what we're seeing now is just part of the cycles, the fourth turning, it's called, in certain books. And the reality is to think that you have to be the solution to it or you just run away is vanity. The solution actually is that everyone works together and overcomes the challenges like we always have for 1,000,000 years.
Voila. That's right. A lot of people look at me and say, you can't change the world. I'm not trying to change the world. I'm just trying to do my part. You know, as insignificant as it is, I think it's very important. But where is everybody else? You know, there is not going to be any change at all, except for change for the worse, as we know, if we can't unite and get something done. Now they have so many weapons that they use against us, you know, but this has been going on for a very long time. This wasn't just, you know, oh, we're just now dealing with this in 2024, or it just came about in 2020. No. It's been going on for a long time. And here we are. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. And weak men create hard times. All right, so we're in really hard times, have been for quite a long time. So where are the strong men dealing with this hard time? I'd like to see it complete the loop. Anyway, good talk. And let me put the link in again. There you go. Now, you've been effing trumped too. Trump? Yeah. This was a good documentary. Starts off with, you know, what Trump did in Scotland with the golf course. Actually, let me play a few minutes. I think it's okay. But yeah, you cannot support an evil, just psychopathic narcissist and think you're going to end up in a good place.
This is not simply another four-year election. This is a crossroads in the history of our civilization. This is a struggle for the survival of our nation, believe me. And this will be our last chance to save it. To be lied about, to be slandered, to be smeared so publicly, and before your family that you love is very painful.
What's unfair is that you show Molly Forbes. She actually reminds me a little bit of my mother, if you want to know the truth. She looks like a lovely woman.
Makes it even more poignant in a way because he says that you remind him of his mother.
Well, he hadn't been very good to her then. These are gorgeous, aren't they? They're lovely. They drink a lot of water. He promises the world, but never happens. Oh, it's good. Never trust Trump. Everybody needs water. Every living thing needs water.
How many floors up from here is your office, Mr. Trump?
I'm about 10, and then I live about 68 floors up.
Oh, really? Yes, 68.
Which is quite a view, but
Wow. Yeah.
quite a view. How's everything in Scotland?
Well, we've actually no water at all. There's no water going into the well now. All because of Trump.
She's 91-year-old, huh? But he wouldn't care about that because all he cares about is Trump's.
Does this bother you, Anthony, that it sticks out so far? You know, normally it's even with this, you don't even see it.
You could just swap my mic around with Mr. Trump's because that's got a different clip on.
Is that a different holder?
Yeah.
Okay, that's just it's the worst clip I've ever seen. Don. Hey, Don. Would you go to my desk and bring the clips down? I want to show Anthony. They're right on my desk. Or maybe do you have clips for me? The ones you gave me, do you have a set? Or do you want to get them off my desk? Okay, just go. I have some good clips for you.
Oh, really?
I think you'll like.
Oh, wow. Are they gold embossed?
Well, I've gotten tremendous accolades for that course. You know, it's been a great hit.
Yeah, we look forward to talking about it. What do you think of Donald Trump running as a presidential candidate?
I pity America if he's president. There was a big sand hill. I saw it from the front. And hang gliders, they used to run a wee bit and sort of hang glide down, you know, off the top of it. Because it was a huge sand hill. And it's flat now.
The little people, their voices were heard, and we had to address all of those things at great expense.
Literally all gone, and I see right to.
Did you hear that? The little people?
The harbour now, where all the dunes have gone. There's quite a gap. So I think it's ridiculous.
Might as well make it look good, right? Should I button or not button? I think buttons. Button better?
Well, I hope it doesn't happen. For America's sake. And for the world.
Is this your primary camera for me? This one? Yeah. Okay.
That's Lorna. That's me.
After Trump's workers cut off Molly's water supply, she was still collecting water from a nearby stream.
I used to go to the burn with a paint pot tied with a bit of rope. And fill it, and then wheel up the barrow. With the well going dry. All because of Trump.
It's a fundamental thing, water. When you don't have it, it has a knock-on effect psychologically, physically, on your well-being. It's bound to.
So for 5 years, that woman was without water because of Trump. This golf course in Florida that he developed. And he could have fixed it. They claimed that, you know, it was some contractor or builder or whatever had busted the pipe. 5 years. Because they wouldn't sell their property to Trump. So he did nothing and let her go for 5 years without water. Yay, Trump. What a good guy. What a good guy. What a good guy. There's so much that a whole lot of Trump supporters do not know about Trump. And hey, why don't you look into it? Why don't you look into the 4 years that he was actually president and see what he had done? Not what he said, but what he actually did and didn't do. I have a playlist, Never Lose Truth, my Trump playlist. It's frightening to see those who are awake, quote unquote, to be rah-rah Trump. And they don't care about the truth. They don't care that he's lying. They don't care that he didn't do much. And for sure, every president comes in, whether they're on the red team or the blue team, they just carry on the same foreign policy of the latest administration, domestic policy. Well, look at our country. Isn't it fabulous? He couldn't even care. It was, okay, fine. You won't sell the property? You won't have water for 5 years. Foreign intelligence affiliated. All right, this was a very good interview. I'm just going to play a few minutes. But yes, as I have said, and it was good to hear someone else say it, this open border, the illegal migrants coming in, it's been going on for decades, and it doesn't matter who's in the White House. Nothing, even when Trump was in office, a whole lot were coming in. We're going to build that wall. Oh, I guess we can't. Look. All right.
Whitney Webb, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, my pleasure to be back.
Right, yeah,
On their side,
right.
yeah. Which, by the way,
Whitney Webb, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
yeah, my pleasure to be back. Thanks for having me, Kim.
Yeah, you're one of the best. I mean, honestly, which the audience already knows you're highly requested. So I'm glad to have you back. Let's get into some of your latest investigation, the border. This is what's interesting about the border is typically in election cycles, the number one priority for American voters is the economy. But this one time, the border actually rises above in the polls as a greater concern for many Americans than even the economy itself. We're told we have an invasion going on. I'm seeing reports all the time of it's 40,000 Chinese nationals have been able to cross the border, right? So there's this rhetoric that's building of there's this invasion and almost like these military-aged young men are going to come in and stage a coup and take over our country. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what the line of logic where it's supposed to lead to, but I think it kind of is supposed to allude to that.
Yeah.
But you say that the border fiasco or the border, the porous border is that this is intentionally produced, that they've never fixed this on purpose, administration after administration. Tell us about that. Like, why do you think it's been done on purpose?
Well, absolutely. So, if you think about the migrant situation or like the illegal immigration phenomenon and its uptick over the past several decades, it's been continuously bad and problematic, and the border has been continuously porous. and it's never been closed by anybody, Trump included. When he was in office. And when Trump was in office, of course, his campaign, his first presidential campaign, rested heavily on the idea of creating a physical barrier on the US-Mexico border. But by 2019, Trump had abandoned that idea and was promoting this smart wall, the biometric, an artificial intelligence-powered smart wall that functions autonomously. And this is actually something that the Bush administration first kicked off. The newly created Department of Homeland Security at the time launched this program called SBI Net, which failed and has sort of come back over the last several years or so and has been promoted both by Democrats and Republicans. So, for example, when Trump was his rhetoric about a physical barrier was being, Democrats were upset about it. Their response by and large was to promote the idea of a smart wall as opposed to a physical barrier. And this is a bipartisan agenda. And it's been creeping along the past several years rather quickly. And now, of course, what you have is, as you mentioned, this rhetoric, this renewed media attention, including in independent media being given to the border situation, which, of course, is going to get people more agitated and concerned about it. But it is something that has gone on for a long time. And I would argue that the media rhetoric about the problematic situation on the border is to argue, it is to, like you said, frame it in military style terms with the idea of manufacturing consent for a military style solution.
A military style solution that would end up being this kind of biometric surveillance system that would then, I would imagine, then they're going to turn around and use it on everybody. I mean, that's usually how that goes, right?
Well, here's the thing about the biometric entry-exit wall. This is something that is not just happening in the US. It is being rolled out and promoted in lockstep throughout the entire Western world. The European Union is implementing it starting this year. The UK is poised to do it in 2025. And it is essentially part of this broader agenda to impose digital identity or digital ID on people. And digital ID is something that a lot of people in Trump's base and people that were dissenters during the COVID era were very opposed to, because this was, vaccine passports were fundamentally the trial run for a global interoperable digital ID style system. And that's essentially what these entry exit systems will be. And it's not something that's just they're trying to do on the physical terrestrial borders of the US. All ports of entry, including airports, are going to have this, or they're hoping to impose this on people. This new.
And that is being pushed forward, and Trump is very involved with that. So the link again is in the chat. Yeah, I see a comment that if she was for real, she wouldn't be on this earth anymore. People will never learn. Tisk, tisk, tisk. So because Whitney is not dead, it means she's not real. I don't understand that thinking. I don't understand that thinking. There's an awful lot of people who you could claim that as well. Even Kim Iverson. So all the people who are real are dead. They're gone already. Okay. But this is, and I do want to thank my subscribers who send me these clips or information. And I don't know, I think this is a clip of a movie, but listen, it's profound.
Said that it's not all about me. And even though I'm in pain, it's worth sticking around to maybe make my little corner of the world a slightly better place.
That's all there is.
Happiness is amazing. It's so amazing, it doesn't matter if it's yours or not. It's that lovely thing. A society grows great when old men plant trees, the shade of which they know they will never sit in. Good people do things for other people. That's it, the end.
I like that. Old men plant trees that they know they will never sit in the shade. Good people do things for other people. Yeah. Yeah. So I am going to wait for tomorrow. Everyone is numbing out. I read this article and it was quite worthy of a read in Alive, but it's 7:06 and I don't know what is going on with me that I'm just kind of dying after midway or 3/4 of the way, but I am. And the dark side of ironic detachment and possible antidotes for our apathetic world. So I will, if you want to read it before I read it in Alive, the link is in the chat. But she kind of captured, for sure, the people that are called Americans, for sure. And yeah, don't we need to move out of this detachment or apathy? Yes, we do. I don't have much hope that we will, but you can't stop talking about what's most important, and you can't stop talking about the solution, which is, yeah, doing that work on ourselves, being better people, getting out of our self-centeredness.
It was something you said.
So that maybe we can plant a tree that we know we will not sit in its shade, but others will. Start thinking about other people. It's really important. So I'm actually just going to switch gears. And I love this. And it's so easy. It's so easy to do. Just take a break, a few minutes, and do things. In this case, it's for a child, but it's so brilliant. It's just wonderful to watch, where we can do things for people, right? Very sweet. Very sweet. I was actually talking and I didn't realize the mic was off, but yeah, that made that kid's day big time. And the mother. How wonderful. Simple pleasures. And here, a cat who learned that her owner was pregnant waited impatiently for her new friend to come into the world. Wow, that's seriously cool. That is seriously cool. That cat knows something's going on in there. Oh, here is another dream of the child who cares about cleaning workers, the garbage men. It's really wonderful to make people happy, isn't it? I don't know anyone anymore. My circumstances, it's been really bad. But there are so many things that people can do for their neighbors and, to simple things, especially for children, the simple things. But hell, there are children in this town. I can hear them because this house is close to the elementary school. So I hear them when school or recess, lets them play outside. But I don't see any of them outside. And this is a safe town. I don't see any of these kids outside. It's like we've all become so isolated. And even the children, hand them a phone or an iPad, and that's what they're doing. So, it's too bad. I've seen this before, and I love it. Yeah. Joyful moments. I wish I was this hand cutting the watermelon. And here, this is a prison where they're bringing cats in. Very good idea. Here we go.
What happens when you put 200 stray cats in prison? These are unadopted kittens who are about to be euthanized, and animal protection organizations have come up with the bold idea of letting prison inmates adopt the kittens. Initially, the plan was opposed because they feared the cats were being abused by criminals. However, to everyone's surprise, the big men with tattooed arms not only didn't abuse the cats, but showed a tenderness they had never seen before. They no longer fight and brawl, but share experience of raising cats together and compare whose cats are the cutest. Because only those who behave well and follow the discipline have the chance to apply for a cat. Therefore, everyone shows unprecedented enthusiasm, laboring hard, earning living supplies for the cats, and even learning to knit jumpers for them. This program not only found a home for countless stray cats, but also revitalized the originally pandemonium prison as they healed each other with love and warmth.
The four-legged is amazingly healing. Amazingly healing. So There are those big burly guys knitting little caps for the cats. Caps for the cats. So, yeah, there's a lot that can be done. And yeah. You had to get rid of your chickens and ducks? Yeah, I won't eat eggs from stores, only fresh eggs. Sorry to hear that. So, yeah. I want to apologize because I'm not myself anymore. And I feel like the energy coming from me is very low. I've tried to pick it up, but I feel I've been failing. So I do apologize. And yeah, life experience is very different for pretty much everyone. Whole lot can have, a similar experience. Circumstances for an awful lot can be really challenging and not so similar. So that also just gets very tiring. And that's also why I like listening to a whole lot of stories. Because a lot of the younger, generations, they are, they're obviously not what their reputation states that they are. Lazy, they don't want to work, they're this, they're that. A whole lot, which has been really very interesting, to me at least, is to hear them. They talk about their struggles, but there's a lot of wisdom that is coming out of, I guess, the Gen Z, millennials. So, but I hear things and I just think to myself, when I was their age, never did I once think, wasn't even on my radar, that something wasn't available. Now, whether or not I worked for it, that was another story. There were opportunities that were wide open. That's all gone. It's all gone for these younger Americans. It's all gone. That's heartbreaking. So, yeah, and I listen to them and I just think a lot know they have no future, and a lot say things like, this time will pass, things will get easier, don't worry, talking about the economy and the inflation, and it won't. It won't, because we're looking at skyrocketing inflation on top of the inflation we're already facing. So help your friends, help your family. Don't be a bastard and let someone rot. And even if you don't like the person, just think to yourself, I should just do what's right. Live honestly, speak honestly, do all of that stuff. Do some reflection, self-examination, resolve those issues, become a better person, and plant a tree that you know you're not going to be sitting in its shade. On that note, thank you for showing up. Hope to see you tomorrow night. Good night, good luck. Ciao, guys.